Ascension pioneers. Can you believe it's snowing here? Yes, it is. It's actually pretty warm outside, but these last 2 days really surprised us with snow. So yeah, it's falling down from the trees, which can be a collateral damage, but I'm fine with recording outside. And today I really feel that I want to bring even more depth in terms of subjects of divine relations and our soul connections as we go deeper in our personal ascension. When I began my weekly reading this week, it was all about opening up, Cupid arrows, romance, Two of Cups, unions, opening up deeper to the self, as we do also with another, which is all one. And I thought, wow, there's probably still more to talk about here. As you know, this is infinite subjects, you know, how soul relate to each other and how we co-create and our service together. So I thought maybe I can expand even deeper, as I did in my last video. I mentioned a bit about this in my video on the marriage and the alchemization of spirit and soul. But also, finally, what was published is the video that I did as a co-creation. It was an interview with Janneke from Norway. And you can see that on my Facebook page. I published it there. Also, it will be as a YouTube playlist on my playlist of co-creations as you go directly to my YouTube channel. So, yeah, it's snow. It's just snow falling from the trees. Otherwise, it's fine. But what I wanted to share today on this aspect, as I was meditating in this beautiful walk here today, was the fact of how many beautiful multidimensional soul connections we actually have, and how each of us brings us a deeper part when we get to know more of the self. So as you know, on our journey here in the physical, a lot of times we were putting limitations on ourselves, and we had relationships, and because we so desperately needed to belong to someone, and with a certain idea that we have with someone, for example, what we are supposed to co-create together, even that in itself can be an idea, if it's not really pure and soul guided. So a lot of the times we put limitations on that, and love was not purely free. And let's say we had a relationship and it flowed a certain way, which was not all satisfying to ourselves as the way we were, you know, as the way we are. It's just natural to us, to our authentic self. I'm not saying about the projections and mirrors that we clearly show to each other that don't belong to our true nature, and we were clearing that away as we were coming more in terms of who we truly are in our authentic self. But I'm talking about the things that we really know that is just pure us, and it's our pure individual core soul essence. And a lot of times in these relations, we weren't able to either fully express it or fully engage in it. And sometimes it's just because we're not open enough. Other times we are open enough and it just isn't working because there's not enough match. That, wow, the snow's really falling down. I'm such a scaredy cat, I'm sorry. So a lot of the times, it wasn't enough to pull, you know, the magnetism was strong enough to link the two together in a sacred alchemizing marriage. And I'll talk about sacred marriage a bit further, but first I want to say that these things are now becoming really important to us. The more we know the self, the more we know the things that are just very natural to us. Let's take a deeper look into what the soul is, and I've shared that in the previous video. You got to know your creation self. You got to know your dynamics. You got to know your expression, the uniqueness of the purpose that is you. You know, some might have a more spiritual purpose. You know, they'd be guided more to ethereal subjects or metaphysics, you know, spiritual teachers, guides, all these things. Some might be more spiritual in a way of how they build, how they create. Maybe some people will have their own companies. They will do, I don't know, they'll work more with the land and, you know, these things. When two really can come together in an alchemized marriage, they will be on the same path. You know, even our soul number path shows us, you know, this is our life number path. For example, my number is 9, which are the humanitarians and the teachers, and those who really just focus their lives on service, especially after their awakening takes place. And the thing is that even our numbers sometimes show compatibility. For example, I go really well with the number 6. 6 is my mother. They're very more into unconditional love, sacrifice to another, really devoted to serving another as well. And for example, my mother carries a lot of Divine Mary energy, which is that devotion to children and to being a caretaker and such things. So I go really well, for example, with these numbers, and I had some people in this number coming into my life. This is all coming from my personal observation. And some people that I've noticed, they just don't match that well in terms of co-creation that would be long-term. We always co-create with everybody who comes in our path. Either we create healing, either we create a sacred space that we share for a while, either mirrors for each other. But what I want to talk about today is the union of divine relationship, which I've mentioned so many times before, you must know this, is lasting unions. Lasting unions means people, or two individuals or more, who really came to serve something of lasting value as the earth is ascending. So people who will stay in your group. And just yesterday, because now are times when we're moving more into self-reflection, more stillness, you know, here in this northern hemisphere, December is such a month, and a lot of guidance comes. And yesterday I received the guidance that the closer we are coming into connecting with people that really feel like home, the connection is unconditional. You can even share about your darker side, your darker nature, the things that maybe you weren't able to share before with everybody, and you can share with them, and these feel like home, these connections, these people even. And the closer we get in such relations, it means the closer also the union is there. Maybe even if we desire a life partner that will be of such a nature. Spirit showed me that the more we feel that belonging in our soul group, the more we're actually closer to forming these divine partnerships. I'll share later, and I shared before so many times why this is so important. But I want to say that even each other tiny little counterpart that another brings us is very important, because it brings us an activation. And what I said, that before we might have been neglecting those parts, and we said, oh, it's okay, I can satisfy myself maybe with 50%. And you said, I love this person, I guess it's enough. And those of us who are really, really connected with their soul on all levels, we know that this can no longer work in terms of lasting unions, because you can have a friendship or, you know, any different kind of relationship, but for me to really form a marriage with somebody that is on all levels, you cannot say, okay, I'm willing to go 50% and the rest I cannot do. It's not really union. So to unify with somebody on a different level that we share with each other is possible with everybody. We can all unify in a certain aspect, but when I'm talking about divine lasting union is when you can unify with someone who unifies with you to the very core of your essence on all levels. And it doesn't have to deal with you having similar tastes in physical things and spending physical time together, just that. It means unifying in the way you see life, in the way you see service, in the way, is your service direction the same? You can have a person and they can also be on a path of selfless service, but it will be different. Can you merge with that person in lasting union? And this is becoming important now. Let's say you're more of a, how do you perceive your sexuality? Someone might perceive it different from you. I mean, is that enough for you? These are very more personal traits now that we're moving into. We've come into terms of what the soul is, in terms of our divinity and serving the planet and realizing, you know, what we're doing here. And us, especially volunteer souls, we're getting in touch of ourselves and real core principle values. But now it's time also for our personal values. Divine union isn't just saying, okay, it's just vertical, it's horizontal as well. And I shared more about this in the interview that I mentioned in the beginning. And it's really important, because the union of two cannot say, okay, I'm willing to unify with you on this level, but then I won't go on that level. And if these people that we're meeting along, you know, we're meeting them along the way, they're all bringing us certain aspects. So for me, let's say I meet somebody or I reunite with somebody, maybe I've known them before, and they trigger an aspect of me that before I denied, and I said, it's okay, you know, and then this person comes and it triggers this in me again. And I'm like, wow, I can't live without it. You know, I cannot have that because it's so strong in me. It's just the nature of my soul. Maybe another soul is perfect in the way they express themselves, but they're not necessarily going to be perfect for you in terms of unification on all levels. And when I say divine union, this is what I mean. All unions are unions on a certain level, but when I say divine union is, are you willing to really merge with that person on all levels? Because a lot of people say, I'm willing to devote myself to you or to that idea, or to that person, or to a project, but they're always going to have other things as well that are going to be pulling them to the side, and they're never really going to fully unify with you. That's really important to know. Please observe your desires. Are they matching up? So when a union is natural, I already shared this with you, it's magnetic on all levels. It just happens like two blends of two tastes coming together, and they form, you know, like vanilla and chocolate, for example. They blend in really well. And it's just very natural, you know. It's like it just starts to, like when the ice cream starts to melt, you know, you have first vanilla, chocolate, two different colors, but as they begin to melt together, they just form one blend, which is that, I don't know, bright chocolatey color. And this is what I'm talking about, the unification on all levels. Recently there was a video that talked about 3 levels of new paradigm relationships in terms of sacred, holy, and Christed. And I don't know, I wouldn't so much call these levels separate, because what is sacred is holy. What is holy for me is also Christed. It's just a different perspective. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a very interesting video though. And there was many aspects shared there, very, I think, important to address. And one of them is in terms of how we feel forever. What for us means forever. And I'm willing to share something more personal with you. Is I watched a movie a while ago, and it was about this being who was here on Earth, and he was a part of the group of those who were not of this planet. They were different. And when he fell in love for a human, you know, his mentor said to him, but you gotta watch who you fall in love with, because when it's us, with us it's always forever. And it's just different. And he knew that, but he said, yeah, and this is what I'm going to choose, and it will be forever. So I think this really hit an aspect in me, because even as a little child, I understood what forever means. And forever is not like this fairy tale we imagine needs to be perfect. Then you find a certain person, you want to control them into being your forever, into being your perfect match. It's not about that. What forever means for me is when the two people really unite and unify on all levels. They will agree on forever. That means if they feel they have a purpose together, that is serving life and creation in their unique way, they won't agree in terms of they get married, you know, either spiritually or whatever kind of vows you give to each other. Vows are vows. They're formed through spirit. Otherwise, they're not vows. They're just promises. They can be empty and shallow. They don't mean anything. You know, just because somebody buys your ring doesn't mean anything. I'm talking about the thing that you really devote yourself. And forever in this term is not about happily ever after, these romantic infatuations we have and hoping it will work out but never really devoting ourselves. This was the old paradigm. What I'm talking about is that two individuals are committed to what they're birthing forth in their own unique creation, the triangle that they're birthing forth. This is unification on all levels. Your divine partnership, that's what it is. And you don't say, okay, maybe I will engage in it for a few years, then I'll back out. This is what I mean. And where I come from in terms of my own elven nature, with us it's forever too. And if you browse online about the cultures of elves, it also explains somewhere that when they give themselves to each other, it's also lifelong experience, commitment. And there's just certain souls that understand this in a different way than maybe another soul is. So let's say all souls are perfect as they are, and it's the way they express each other. But that doesn't mean we'll all be perfect for each other in terms of lasting union, unification on all levels. And this is all I'm saying here. Let us not judge or put into categories these relationships we're forming, connections we're having. Let's say with one person you're enjoying something, with another person you're enjoying something else. And sometimes we all say, wow, why can't I just combine the two and put them in one perfect match, like kind of creating a hybrid? This doesn't work this way. But what is important here is why does this work is to let you know that these are all aspects of you. And are you willing to embrace them fully in yourself? And again, not compromise it. Choose either one or another or nothing. You're never going to be completely happy when you're moving into your true ascension, which is your whole self. 111 parts of you, all you, pure essence of your unique individualized soul. And first aspect again is to know thyself, is to know your soul. The second aspect is don't seek for such a person that will match those conditions you have. Love is free. I've been writing articles about this whole week. Check it out online. Love is free. It means that when you know and you love another, if they don't reciprocate or you don't reciprocate or it's unrequited love, sometimes it means that maybe one person on a deeper awareness conscious level is already aware that their connection is not supposed to be, let's say, marriage-based or whatever kind of way, and another person might not be so aware. They might be on higher realms, but here on Earth that awareness hasn't yet descended down upon, you know, it hasn't really integrated yet. So the only thing why we say, wow, we have love triangles or unrequited loves and these things is because one party will be more aware in terms of what this relationship is and another might not. I'm talking about the aware people. No, I'm not talking about the karmic cycles, okay? When you have attachments and, you know, this is a different story. We're past that already. So I wanted to share this with you in terms of you knowing that you will never really fully be able to be free with who you are, your own unique soul, when you will be able to still say to yourself, when you're still able to say to yourself, I'm willing to compromise this aspect of me and I'm never going to be able to experience it with this person because they're so different on so many levels. You know, I might love them, I may feel for them, but I still feel I'm not my full self. And I've shared this before, it's all about you. You choose how deep you want to go. Some people are fine with 50-50. That's the thing. Our souls are different, and they're in different levels of our own experiences in this incarnation in general. So you gotta know for you. You only have to value your own truth. If you allow somebody to negate your truth by imposing their own, you're not really listening to your heart. What's your heart saying? You know, your heart knows. And love cannot be forced. It cannot be put into this certain label or box. It cannot be categorized. You know, when I just watched this video yesterday, a very short video about unconditional love. It's not love when your feelings change when somebody tells you they're not willing to be maybe your partner, and you feel anger and resentment, and your feelings change, they get into lower emotions. That's not love. It's conditioned. It's ego-based. When it's soul-based, you love somebody, you still support them, you still want to share with them, maybe not the way they see it. You still love them, you still invite them to play in your space, but you don't particularly want it a certain way because you don't feel it. I'm just telling you to be authentic, to listen to yourself, to respect and honor all of your connections. Don't get too much like, wow, this is it, and I'm going to forget all about the rest, and this is it. But when you do find that something which you feel is really revealing the whole of you, that sharing is so natural within the two, then you got to know, am I willing to commit? Is that the commitment I was waiting for? Is that somebody I can serve all life with in our own unique way? This is what I'm saying. Love is free, but in that freedom there also lies commitment when you find that which really is you, if that is your desire. It's not going to be everybody's desire. But in ascending communities that form in our hearts, it's becoming more and more important to also have that physical expression, that physical relation with somebody, not just in our own inner wholeness. It is important because our physicality is not separate from our spirit. It's not separate from our inner life, from our inner richness. We're supposed to share this richness with others. But a lot of times, what especially women are doing, they're waiting for a guy to transform for them, to be perfect for them, to maybe be their potential match. And like it was shared in that video about different levels of union, is you don't wait for somebody to become your match and maybe to develop that potential that you already embody. When you embody all these aspects, and when you see there's somebody there and they might have them, maybe one day, but they don't yet fully embody them, really think deeply, is that it? Is that somewhere you're willing to commit forever? In your own terms of forever. You gotta know what that means for you. And the only thing about Ascension is knowing your path, knowing your own soul agreements and commitments, and the fact that they need to serve the highest order, the life and creation, and all these benevolent laws that govern our existence in pure benevolence and love. Source is pure love, you know, just infinite supply of love. And when you can experience that with somebody on all levels, then you know. And you don't force yourself. You don't even think about it too much. It's just like a natural blending, alchemy taking place. So I just notice sometimes that people who maybe are more vertical, not so much horizontal, they didn't maybe yet fully match the two as in one experience. It's not separate. Sometimes they become too much maybe cynical, or they stop believing in that union, or they say, oh, happily ever after doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist in the sense of old paradigm that we used to have, but it can exist in the new. And if higher cultures such as the one I already know that exists, like the elven realms, this is like already natural. And such cultures can transcend their wisdom and their way of living here. We decide what we will experience. And therefore it can bleed through that reality onto this reality. It's time to stop being so cynical and say, maybe that's my higher realms experience, but I'm never going to have it here on earth. Why not? Who's limiting you? Just know what you embody, not willing to be compromising it for something that is not always going to be that match, and then go for it when it is. It's very simple. There's no waiting, there's no hoping, wishing, praying, and at the same time, you don't need to be cynical about it and say, oh, it's not for me. That's where you're going to get if you believe, because Source is infinite supply of love, and whatever kind of love you wish, it will happen. Maybe not in your course of time like you want it through control, but it will happen. And that is why I feel these unions are important, because when the two can unify on all levels, they can create anything. And what does this world need? Well, new creation. We're moving into a new cycle. That's what it is. So therefore it is important. And it is dear to my heart. I'm sending you so much love, wisdom, and power from our sacred snowy space. can't see the mountains really. So take care, I'll talk to you soon, and be sure to check out that interview if you're so guided, and see you soon. Bye. Lasting union, the marriage of sky and Mother Earth, and in between the two, their lives move.